Hey guys, and welcome back to another book video with your two favorite book nerds, Amy
and Kelly.
Today we are going to be discussing some of the most popular, the most well-loved, the most talked about books on TikTok. Booktok.
We sure are. We'll get this right out of the way in the intro. First, trigger warnings. If you're triggered by anything, you probably don't want to watch this.
That's factual.
Because the trigger warnings on the books themselves are like
2 pages
two
long.
pages long. And the fact is, we're going to be talking about that stuff. So, there you go. And also, I'm sure both of us know that, you know, or would want to express to you that you are free to love and like whatever you want. And we are not yucking on anybody's yum here. You do your own thing.
Sounded like something you'd read in one of these books.
Exactly. I'm setting the tone for you all. You know, y'all are free to like whatever you want, just as we're free to dislike whatever we want.
This is not an attack on anybody's opinions or any person. Any person,
because we as adults can separate opinions from how we think of people. Anyway, we are not having any intention of bashing anybody's taste. Just, if you love it, go you. I do, and Amy does too. We rant on things we don't like, and it is not a reflection on any particular person. We just don't happen to like them, and we're very free with saying so. So, okay, that's done. Now we want no comments on how mean we are. So, okay.
Yep. All right, so the books we're going to be talking about today, the books that we read for this video are Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton and Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver.
Yes.
Man, I got both of those right without having to look at the book.
Did. Good for you.
We did film some little vloggy vlogs along our reading journey, so we will probably go ahead and cut to those here now and let you see our little reading, and then we'll come back and share our final thoughts and final rants and things about the books, because as you already know, we didn't like them. So, yeah, on to past Amy and past Kelly.
Have fun. So I forgot to say yesterday was that when you get the Kindle edition of this book, the Kindle opens it up to the beginning of the book, which is in this case the prelude. So you don't get to see the cover or the table of contents or any of the front matter. And in that front matter is a very important page, and that is the trigger warnings page. It lists out all of the various trigger warnings for this book, and there's a lot of them. This is a 1.5 pages long trigger warning section. Also, at the very beginning of this section, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say it verbatim, but she makes a point to say that the conspiracies in this book were not at all inspired by QAnon, and they are just from her own imagination, from various conspiracies on the media, conspiracies from media, which QAnon, oddly specific. Oddly specific. So I'm guessing that she's been called out on this this subject. Anyway, before I go on, to show you what I filmed yesterday and today, I'm needing to retcon myself to put that in there. First of all, for a warning to everyone who might pick this up on Kindle, please don't start reading. Is just where the Kindle opens up. Go back and read those trigger warnings, because there are many. I decided to start with Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton as my first of our Booktok experiment. I am 10% in, and this is like well over 500 pages, so it's about somewhere between 55 and 60 pages. And if we weren't doing this for an experimental read, I would be DNFing at this point. I can already tell this book is not going to be for me. But I'm going to keep going on just at least for a little while, because I'm thinking it might maybe pick up a little bit. But anyway, in the first 10% we have met Adeline, who is, or Addie as she's called through most of the book, who is returning to kind of her childhood home. Her grandmother has died and left her house in Seattle, which is an old spooky Victorian house on a cliff. We have learned that she has a really bad relationship with her mother, and we have found out she has a best friend named Dea, and we have found out she has a stalker. So, and there has been a scene from her stalker as well called The Shadow. So far anyway. I think his name is really Zaid or something like that. I haven't gotten that far yet. So I don't know why I don't like this book. The tone. I had to go back and actually double check and make sure it was an adult book, because it really reads like YA with just making it adult because there's naughty bits. That's seriously the tone. The tone that she has when she's talking to her mother and talking about her mother, just how she's described, it's like seriously sounds like it's setting her up to be a massive Mary Sue, and that's annoying. With her best friend Dea, that Dea has decided that Addie needs to get laid. Why? I don't know. She does. And Addie's resistant, so Dea basically demands Addie hand over her phone, or she's going to embarrass her in front of the whole restaurant. And so Addie does, and Dea texts some guy for a booty call. And this guy turns out to be an asshole, which, why did you still have him in your phone? And didn't your best friend not know that he's an asshole? And why? Well, I mean, I know why. Because the whole point of it was so this guy could come over and have something happen, and he gets mad, he knocks a hole in the wall, and that's how Addie finds this hidden safe. Which, by the way, the hidden safe was hidden behind a picture just hanging on the wall, and yet no one knew it was there. This is the logic that we're going with in this book. So I've just ended on this scene. So like I said, she inherited this house from her grandma, and it needs some renovations. So it ends on this scene where Addie's standing on the cliff, and the contractor just comes out to tell her that they're done. But she's acting so weird about standing on this cliff that he apparently thinks that she's suicidal, that she's going to jump. And she, in her mind, her thoughts saying, I'm probably acting, he probably thinks I'm strange, I'm acting really strange. Given my behavior, I'm sure I'm just reinforcing this. I'm scaring the poor man to death. And I'm like, yeah, so do something about it. And she just stands there and like stares at him while he's like stumbling through trying to tell her this stuff. And there's this one, let me find it. Okay, so she thinks she's finally responded to the guy after I don't know how long, like a page and a half of him like stumbling, trying to tell her and giving her weird looks, and her thinking, something's clearly wrong with me. He probably thinks I'm weird, you know, all this. She finally responds, and then she thinks to herself, I feel like an asshole for my behavior. Had I fallen, the poor guy probably would have blamed himself. The earth easily could have given out on me, or I could have just taken too large a step and plummeted to my death just because he was concerned. He would have lived the rest of his life with guilt, and who knows what would have become of him because of it. That's a bit over the top, Addie. Just say hi when the guy walks up. Anyway, another thing that he comes to tell her is that there is a bouquet of roses that had gotten delivered for her, which of course freaks her out because, again, the stalker has already happened. you know, her stalker has made the appearance, which, by the way, this guy is like enormous and, of course, good looking. He has one dark brown eye, one ice blue eye that's so light it's almost white, and there is a scar running through or down his face over the eye. And yet this is the guy that is supposed to be able to just blend into any crowd. He's the shadow. Okay. So anyway, he has been breaking into her house and leaving a rose first. So of course she freaks out when she does this because she doesn't know how he's getting in. She knows she has a stalker. She's tried to call the police. They won't do anything about it. And this is where I'm going to keep reading because I'm kind of hopeful that maybe there's a paranormal angle here. Like, maybe he's not really human and there's going to be something in that. I don't really have high hopes, but I need something to keep me reading this book. So anyway, he comes out to tell her that. So that's kind of where I stopped at this point to read it. I don't know. I hope there's something. I hope there's something good coming. Because, I mean, the style of the book, the style of the writing is just, I don't want to read 500 pages of this. Okay, so I'm sorry. The next chapter is from The Shadow. And, okay, so 12 men wouldn't be too hard to take down, but I'm going to have to be quick and stealthy. It was easier to pick off the guards surrounding the decrepit warehouse. There's a flex. Their mistake was relying on their limited eyesight for intruders. My ability to hide in the shadows is what ultimately got them killed. Should have had night vision goggles, like me. Maybe then I would have had a bit of entertainment. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, so it goes on. And we get this Jay. Who, I mean, obviously they're on some kind of operation, right? So Jay is the voice in his ear, so he's wearing a comm. And this is how he talks about Jay. His hacking skills are nearly as good as mine, and only because I was his teacher. And a little bit later, like a couple paragraphs down, it says, Jay is the only mouth I need in my ear, which is kind of an odd way to say that, but okay. His skill levels out to the equivalent of what 3 hackers could do, and he's the only one I trust with my life. Because he's almost as good as you, because you were his teacher. Hello, Gary Stu. I have a feeling you're going to meet Mary Sue here in a little bit. Anyway, okay, sorry. We've just learned that Z is, he started an organization of hackers to where is it? Oh, exposing the truths about our corrupt government. That doesn't signal anything, does it? Okay. Okay. And then as I became more of their true nature, the depravity of their sickness, it turned into personally snuffing out every single one of these sick bastards starting from the top up. So pretty much they found out about sex trafficking rings, which since he talks about corrupt government, I'm assuming this is going to lead to sex trafficking rings in the government because, again, I'm beginning to see why she felt the need to call up QAnon in her author's note. But okay, so I'm assuming that's where it's going to lead. Is there's a sex trafficking ring, and he's like some dude. He calls himself a mercenary, but it's really like sounding like he's a serial killer. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading and see how much more of this I can take. Okay, sorry, just one more thing. This is like the next page. In quick succession, I take out all 3 men. Their bodies drop and a few of the girls jump. Some cry and hunker down while others stay deathly silent. A normal reaction for a little girl would be to scream, but these girls have already been desensitized to murder. No! These girls are in shock and traumatized. Okay, that was all. I said I wasn't going to do this, but seriously, I'm still in the same chapter. If I was into annotating, I mean, this book would be nothing but highlights and comments. Wow. Just, wow. I'm going to keep reading. Okay, so Dea, who is overly concerned about getting Addie laid, I swear, they've gone out to this nightclub, right? And it's been previously established that Addie is socially awkward. Like, we're stumbling, doesn't know what to say, and all of this. So they're out at this club, and Addie's getting hit on by this guy, and she says, social situations nearly send me into hibernation, but I've always been skilled at flirting. Because, of course she is. Too bad most times I can't stand to do it. Oh, but I'm good at it, but it's just so beneath me. I have decided to DNF Haunting Adeline. I read quite a bit more, or quite a bit farther than I wanted to, really, considering now. But The writing style just still isn't working for me. Yeah, I'm just not clicking with it. And I really don't like any of these characters. You know, last time it was just really kind of the main characters, but that was really apparently all I saw. I really don't like any of them. Somehow they are all just the absolute best at everything. So Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's abound. But when it comes to the main characters, because that's really the important part, right? I do not like Addie. She's stupid. She's just stupid. She even says in several parts that she is stupid. She tells herself she's stupid, and yet then she goes ahead and does whatever it is she's being stupid about. She does it anyway. Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I get probably why she's doing it, sort of, I think. But the fact remains that it's just, own up to it, sister. Okay? Just own up to why you're doing the things that you're doing. But anyway, I am 40% in, and the main character, main character, still didn't have a name. I know his name is Zaid, but not because I've read it in the book yet. He is still at most referred to as Z, or generally the Shadow or the Stalker. So yeah. Anyway, I see no redeeming qualities in this dude at all. And one of the big things is that his character is such a hypocrite. It's just so glaringly huge. So, he's like stalking Addie, right? Because stalker romance, right? Oh, by the way, I don't see this as a romance, like a dark romance, or a dark stalker romance. I mean, the stalker's there. I quibble with the romance title. I would say dark erotica, sure, but I have seen no evidence of romance here at all. If the romance part of this is the fact that he leaves her roses, then it's a little too slim on the romance for me. But anyway, yeah, he's stalking her. He's horrible to her. He terrifies her. He harasses her. He has now raped her. Sorry, SA for those of you. I guess I should have said that. But there's SA here. And anyway, he has like no self-awareness of this, like, at all. None. So his job, again, I think I said before, Zaid is a serial killer in my mind, in my eyes, which, hey, fine, whatever. But his job is to save people from sex trafficking. And so yeah, that's his job. And there's many passages of him being very angry and wanting to go after these people who are defiling and degrading and kidnapping and terrorizing women. And then he's degrading and terrorizing and harassing Addie, and there's no self-awareness there that he's doing the exact same thing that he is so willing to kill other people for. Well, I take that back. Just I'll come back to that in a second. But I've now gotten to the point, I really did kind of want to read to at least the part where there was some smut involved, just to kind of see. And I did twice. Both of it non-consensual, which was in the trigger warnings. I'll give you that. However, what left me with not just a bad taste in my mouth, I think somebody, like a dog crapped in my mouth kind of bad, was, I wouldn't call it exactly romanticized, but almost like condoned, which is not okay, even for a dark romance. And the reason that I say that is going back. It happened twice. He broke into her house. The first time he raped her with a object, which I think is kind of funny because, if any of you like true crime type stuff, you know that when serial killers or serial rapists will sexually assault a woman with an object, it means they can't perform. They can't get it up. So I think it's kind of funny that he used an object when that's typically what that means for, criminals. Anyway, back to the point. Yeah, broke in. The first time was with an object. The second time was not. But both times he broke in. Both times she begged him to stop. Both times he did not. Both times he left her in a ball, crying, feeling violated, feeling betrayed by her own body because her body reacted, which we all know from victims of a sexual assault, that your body can react with arousal because it's a biological function. It has nothing to do with consent. And the fact that there might have been, in the character's eyes, dubious consent because she was aroused feels like the book is perpetuating the stereotype that you can't be raped if you're aroused because therefore you want it. And that sits very, very wrong with me. Anyway, after the second time, there's a sliver of self-awareness. So when he leaves her the second time, he looks back and he sees her feeling degraded and ashamed. And he thinks she shouldn't feel ashamed. And for just a second, he thinks that, yes, he can see that he's doing to her the things that he's fighting against in his job. And then it goes away. It was one sentence. One. It's justified after that because the reason that he's doing this, that he's stalking her, is because, so when she falls in love with him, she will have fallen in love with all of the effed up parts about him. She'll know all the bad, and she'll have fallen in love with him anyway. And therefore, in his words, when people fall in love with the most effed up parts of you, they will never leave. Oh, my man. There's so many things wrong with that I really don't want to spend 15 minutes on a video explaining to people why that is just completely effed up. So I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it to hopefully that you all understand why that's effed up. So it's justified. Non-consensual sexual assault is justified in this book. Now, I'm used to be fan of, the good old bodice strippers from the 80s, and there's a lot of dubious consent and non-consent in those books, which is problematic. I will give you that. However, generally, because they are romances, true romances, what tends to happen is the male main character will come to realize that his behavior is incorrect and he will change. And, that's problematic in and of itself because it perpetuates the whole stereotype of bad boys can be changed by love, or at least changed by her magical hoo-ha, whichever one you want to go with, which is problematic in and of itself, but at least there's some redemption there, right? The way this is being justified, I don't see it going there. And so I went and looked at reviews and some video reviews because I was just kind of curious about what's going on here. And it doesn't seem like it gets better. It seems like the consent portion of it is that one person called it Stockholm Syndrome, but it's more like she gets used to it, and so therefore she starts consenting. Like, makes it sound like there's no use in saying no, so I might as well stop saying no. Now, I do also have a theory that Addie has a fear kink, which is fine. Whatever, but that still needs consent, right? I mean, I know that there's people out there that have SA kinks, but there's still consent. They consent to the role play. They don't... Still requires consent. even if she has a fear kink, at this point in the book, she's not acknowledging that. And she's not acting like it. And just because maybe she's a little turned on by it, the fact that she told him no, there's a quality in this book also that keeps saying that he knows her better than she knows herself. There was a part in here where he told this guy that, I'm not going to get into the whys of it, but basically in a conversation with this guy, he's thinking that this guy put Addie down and he doesn't know how special she is, that she's one of a kind. There's never been another like her of her kind. He hadn't even talked to her at that point. Hadn't even talked to her. The other thing is that at this point, I'm 40% in. Over 40% in. They have never had any sort of conversation. None. He doesn't know a thing about her. He's obsessed with her looks, obviously. And I think that now that in a way he does know her better than she knows herself, is that in the, I think he can see her fear kink and she's not acknowledging it. And that's fine. I mean, maybe he gets off on that, but he knows nothing about her. I'd never had a conversation with her. And he's going to make her fall in love with him, but he's not putting anything of himself out there other than he's a sadistic psycho who rapes her. What's she supposed to fall in love with here? That's all part of that effed up way that I'm not going to spend 15 minutes on this. So, yeah, there's some real issues with this book. And I mean, wow. I don't know. Whatever. I'm done. I'm done. And really, honestly, the smut isn't that good either. I don't know. I mean, full transparency, I am not an erotica reader. I don't really like it very much. I don't really get off on it very much. So it's really not my thing. It doesn't take a lot for me to say something's not very good, but I didn't think it was very good. I didn't like it. Anyway, that's probably enough of me and all of my reasons why I'm not reading this book, and I'm kind of sad that I read as much as I did and gave this book page count on Kindle Unlimited, but I did because I wanted to get to the smut part and find out just how it went down. But I am not interested in going on any further. Also, I will say there are other plot points here other than this sort of stalking, whatever the hell it is. There's also a side mystery of Addie's great-grandmother was murdered, and Addie has her diaries and she's trying to figure out who murdered her great-grandmother. And also there is a on Zaid's end of things, there is this like government conspiracy thing going on where there is a sex trafficking ring run by government officials. And it kind of harkens me back to that QAnon thing that she so adamantly said it wasn't in her author's note and her trigger warnings, which I think is kind of interesting still. However, I will say, at least to the point that I have read, I don't really see the anti-Semitism that I think is supposedly comes from blood libel, because at least the scene that I saw where there was a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice, I guess I'm enough of a fantasy reader that ritualistic sacrifices like that, blood magic kind of stuff, is fairly common in fantasy genre for the villains supposedly to use. So I'm not seeing that that portion that people are are kind of have allegations about. I don't really see that. But I don't know. The other one, I don't know. I can see why people see it. I'm not going to read to the end to see if that would be more confirmed or if it would kind of ease up. I don't know. I'm not going to read it. I don't know. But anyway, just so you know, there are other plot points here. I'm not really interested enough in those either. I don't know, because I see that going in weird ways considering how this relationship between the two main characters has been set up. I see it go in weird ways, and I just don't want to be in it. This is not my genre. It is just not. Romance in general is not my genre. This is not romance. But erotica is really not my genre, and when I'm questioning the book this hard, and it's given me icky feelings in the first place, which I will say, and I hope my explanation of it was enough, has nothing to do with it being dark. I read dark fantasy. I read horror. I'm not really bothered by dark themes. This is not. It has nothing to do with darkness and everything to do with how the darkness is handled in this book, which I don't think is correct, at least unto this point. So that is all I'm going to say on that. I'm putting it down. So the other book that we decided to read was Butcher and Blackbird, I think it's called. And I have that on hold from my library, so when that comes in, I will get started on that one. So, see ya.
Good morning! Well, morning for me, whatever, good to you when you're watching this video. But, on my way to work, and I totally just realized that I told Kelly that we were going to be vlogging for this video. Like, I just remembered that that's what we were supposed to be doing, so here I am. I started haunting Adeline. I don't know how you pronounce that name. I'm gonna say Adeline because I think that sounds prettier than Adeline, but whatever. It just sounds like she's out of line, like Adeline. Anyway, I started it last night. I'm not very far into it, just like a few pages, because when I went to Amazon before reading Haunting Adeline, I saw in their like little description or whatever, it said it's highly recommended that you read the prequel Satan's Affair before reading Haunting Adeline. And I'm like, I got at least a week to get this book read. So, you know, the prequel was short. Let's give it a whirl. Why not? If I'm gonna be jumping into the dark romance world, then I'm gonna jump in like all or none. Okay, we're going hard and fast. Now, realizing that that's probably what I'm going to be reading about. Anyway, yeah, so I read Satan's Affair, and I finished it yesterday. I read it in a day. It's very, very short, and I don't know if I'm fully prepared for what I'm going to be reading in Haunting Adeline, because the trigger warnings for Satan's Affair were a pretty small list. And the trigger warnings for Haunting Adeline is pretty long. And I thought that there were some scenes in Satan's Affair that were like, they were a lot. It was a journey. I will say that I didn't hate it. Okay, spoiler, I gave Satan's Affair 3 stars. I almost gave it 4 if it weren't for there being like so many like scenes that were like, this don't make no sense, but the scenes that did make sense, so anyway, and the ending was good. Like, it had a decent storyline. It just like really jumped into the non-story stuff real fast. So like I said, I just pulled up to work, so that's kind of like my first update. also, not very far in Haunting Adeline. I'm expecting to get a good chunk of it read today. But we'll see. It is a much larger book than Satan's Affair, so I don't know how that's gonna go, but I believe in myself. I'm scared, but I believe in myself. So, anyway, that's update 1. I'll see you guys for the next one.
Okay. Hi, hello, how are ya? I'm back with another reading update for Haunting Adeline. And I don't remember what I said in my last reading update, but if there was anything positive in that one, I want to immediately take it all back because this book is terrible on many different levels and for many different reasons. So I'm like 90% of the way through the book right now. BT dubs. Kelly DNF'd it around the 41% mark, she told me, which I'm sure she has said in her little reading update. I decided to persevere because I really love the misery. I miss the misery. Na, 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 na. But yeah, I decided to persevere, and I am about finished with it at 90%. I'm not gonna quit now, even though I really, really want to and wish that I had quit when Kelly told me to. This book so far has made me have such strong physical reactions, and not the good kind of physical reactions. I'm talking like this book has made me want to throw up the entire contents of my stomach multiple times in the span of a couple of paragraphs. I hate the female main character because she's so stupid.
God, Karen, you are so stupid.
My gosh, if I have to hear her call herself stupid one more time, I am going to lose it. I hate the male main character. He is so full of himself that it sickens me to my core. Okay, like any man who is just so like, I am a god, I am the best, you will love me because I am better than everyone else and I have this power. Gag me now, and not in a fun way. Ugh. Huh. No, I hate it so much. And I understand that this is a dark romance, okay? So let's talk the smut scenes, okay? This little spice. There is no spice in this book. Okay? There would be spice if we had consent, but we don't have consent. So therefore, it's just straight up sexual assault, and that there's nothing spicy about that. And if there are people out there who are actually like fantasizing about having someone force themselves upon you, like, I am so happy that you are someone who's never had to actually experience that in your life, because let me tell you from a first-hand experience, it is not great. If you want to fuck someone with your gun, I am all for it as long as they were okay with it to begin with. Okay, as long as you got the okay, go ahead in the beginning when this is all happening, you can shove whatever you want in any hole. Okay, I'll go with it. But if you have someone who is there and they are begging and pleading you to leave them alone and to stop, I can't. Like the one scene where it was consensual, like more consensual than any of the other scenes, I was okay with. And it was a good scene. It was a good scene. But it just, all of that, I don't know. It's just, ugh. It's so repetitive. And it's so boring. And it's just, ugh. How is this a popular book? How is this what y'all be loving out there? Like, Satan's Affair was better than this. Anyway, that's my reading update. You won't see me again talking about this book until a video with Kelly, when I'm with Kelly. So I'm gonna finish the book because, like I said, I'm 90% of the way in, so I might as well at this point. But like I'm not gonna enjoy my time, and I find it very hard to believe that this book's gonna get more than 1 star for me. The last time I hated a romance book this much was when we read Mountain Laurel by someone Devereaux. I don't even remember the lady's first name. Give me more Emily Henry. That's my happy place. I like her book. But anyway, I'm going to bed now. I'll see you guys later.
Say hello, Vicky.
Hello, Curtin. Oh, such a handsome boy.
Yeah, this little tuxedo. Yeah, it's like, get me out of here. Alright, so that was a lot, I'm sure. I haven't watched Kelly's and she hasn't seen my vlog, so we're not entirely sure how much ranting went on, but from what we've gauged from each other, a lot.
We've talked about it a little bit, but yeah, haven't watched it.
So, I hope you're still watching.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
we're about to rant some more.
If you've made it this far, thanks.
Then you are definitely, if they made it this far in the video, they also hated the book.
Probably so.
100%. Anyone watching this video hated the books.
Because if you could get past my, 15-minute rant there at the end, I'm pretty sure that, you know, if you got through that, you probably agree with us. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But anyway, to recap.
So Haunting Adeline. Should we start with that one?
Let's start with that one.
Let's start with that. That was the one that we read first. Or at least the one that I read first.
Me too.
Okay.
Yep.
It was the one that I was most intrigued by. I didn't know anything about the book going into it. I was still okay with it, even when I found out that we had a stalker who was in love with the woman he was stalking. I'm like, that's very you. Supposedly. You know, like Joe Goldberg. I'm like, I'm here for that.
Yeah, supposedly.
What it was, though, it's not good. Oh my god.
No. I'm gonna try not to completely rehash my entire rant. I mean, you've just seen it. I'll just say that consent is everything.
Yes.
You know, and as I said, it's been a bit since I filmed that, but I'm fairly sure that Addie had a fear kink.
Oh, 100% she did.
But the fact was, I DNF'd it. If you've gotten this far, you know I DNF'd it. I DNF'd it at about 40% in. And to that point, Addie had not acknowledged that she had a fear kink.
True.
And so in her view, when she was telling him no, she meant no. It wasn't it wasn't like they had a pre-arrangement with a safe word, with, you know, pre-arranged consent that we will do this and that's okay with her. None of that had been acknowledged. She hadn't even acknowledged to herself that she had this kink. And so there was no consent there. And up until the point that I had stopped, there was no regret on his part for what he was doing, the effing hypocrite that he was.
Right. Right.
So, and again, I'm not going to repeat my entire rants, but yeah, it was completely non-consensual. And I did go and see spoiler reviews afterwards, and from what I could gather, there never was any sort of turnaround where he felt bad about what he did. No,
he never did. So, unlike Kelly, I read the whole book. She told me not to, and I did it anyway.
I did.
And you know, I regretted it immediately. I remember sitting there, and I finished on my phone, I didn't buy the book. It was on Kindle Unlimited for free, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I finished it, and I set my phone down, and I'm like, I should have listened to Kelly. Literally my first words. Because it did not get any better. There were some scenes where she instigated it, or she did acknowledge, like, hey, I have this, or he acknowledged, like, you like to be scared. There were some of that. So there wasn't as much consent issues. There were still some, but not as many towards the end. But those in the beginning were so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if you wanted your main character to have this kink, then at least have her in her mind being like, I kind of like that. Or some, like, you know, like, acknowledge something about... If it wasn't for the consent issues, those scenes I would have been fine with. I mean, they were still like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But, like,
yeah.
I would have been, it would have been like, I know this is a dark romance. So I was expecting things like what happened, you know, using a gun as a play toy.
I said in one of my clips too, this is not romance though. I'd say erotica, dark erotica. But there was, at the point that I read and anything I read about it afterwards, there was no romance.
There was
to be
no
had
romance.
Here. There was no romance.
It was all just straight sex.
Yeah, which is erotica. And that's fine. And that's fine, but don't call it what it's not.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, that was my biggest hang-up with the book, was just the consent issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're going back and you have to read from her point of view, because, like, you have to assume that at some point she is going to end up falling for the stalker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was just kind of a given. And so to have to go and, like, after those scenes happened where he's broke into her house and assaulted her,
Mm-hmm.
and then have to read her points where she's just like, literally she's crying and she just feels so terrible and so guilty for, like, enjoying, like, all of these emotions. And it's like, if anyone's ever been in a situation like that before, like, how can you as a woman, because isn't H.G. Carlton a woman? Or
I have no idea.
I didn't look it up, but I thought she was.
I thought so,
it was.
but I don't know for sure.
If it is a woman, to write about something like that is just so terrible.
This one I will repeat because I think it needs to be repeated as often as possible until people get it. Physical arousal is not consent.
Yes.
Because our bodies do, in that sense, betray us. It's a biological function.
Right.
It is as natural as breathing. You get the right stimulus, you get the right result. Our brains do not control our physical reactions. And so the reactions of arousal do not indicate consent. And I think this author was relying on that to say, well, she really does like it. But in the end, when she's crying and she's feeling violated and she's feeling degraded and she is feeling ashamed because her body betrayed her, that is sexual assault. That
Right.
is not consensual.
Right.
At all.
Right. And if she wanted her character, like I said before, if she wanted her character to have the fear kink,
Mm-hmm.
then
Fine.
she didn't need to
Fine.
have all of that, like, inner, like, being ashamed, like, all of that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She could have just accepted it for, like, oh, like, you know, like, just been more accepting of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I didn't.
Or have him simply say, you want this, don't you? And have her go, yes, I do.
Yeah.
But,
Like, having to read about her screaming over and over, like, no, like, stop, and, like, just constantly thinking no, and then all of the after, oh my gosh, it was so terrible.
it was bad.
It was so terrible. It's like, that should never be in any book. Ever.
Yeah, it was bad.
And it's like, then how are you gonna expect me to ever like Zayd as a character?
And the fact that the book kept justifying it.
Oh my god, yes.
I mean, I did read somewhere that supposedly the author acknowledged that it was non-consensual and that it was in the trigger warnings. I'll give you that. Non-consent is in the trigger warnings. But you expect in a romance that at some point is going to turn around. And here I am repeating my rant again. But that she was not romanticizing it. And I don't believe that. Because the book continually justified the main male character's actions. Continually. The reason that he did all of it, the reason that he had for stalking her, justified what he did to her. Like, no. So it justified. And the fact that, you know, his job was to hunt down and kill sex traffickers, that's justifying him being a bad person. It's trying to give you a reason to like him.
Yeah, it didn't work.
And it didn't.
It did not work.
It didn't.
There was never a point in this book where I'm like, oh my god, Zayd is so dreamy. Like,
no.
He is so amazing.
Never.
Like, I want a Zayd in my life.
No.
Like, hell fucking no. Okay?
No.
I'm sorry, but no.
No.
There was nothing. This man, oh my god. The size of this man's head must have been like 5 times too big because his ego, he thought that he was the absolute shit.
Oh, yeah.
He thought he was the shit. No one could touch him. No one could best him. He was the most dangerous man on the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. And she... Mm-hmm.
It was so bad.
God. I could not stand anytime it was his point of view, anytime words came out of his mouth.
He was perfect.
Oh my god.
Absolutely perfect.
I wanted to like, this book almost made me physically throw up.
She was too.
Oh, well, yeah. You know,
so,
she's a manipulator. Of course she's perfect. She can
manipulate. Oh my god.
They're freaking nicknames, okay? The Shadow and the Manipulator. How corny, first of all. And secondly,
yeah,
let's feed into both of their egos a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because we haven't enough. And, like, she did not deserve the title of Manipulator.
No.
At all.
Only because she was an author. That's the only reason they called her a manipulator. Because, trust me, in her real life with relationships, she could manipulate the way out of a paper bag.
No. No. It was so bad. She was so socially awkward all of the time.
All the time. And the Shadow, I mean, the guy's huge. He's got one dark eye and one almost white eye with a big damn scar running down his... But he can blend in anywhere. Okay, sure. Just repeating myself at this point, but oh my gosh!
It was so dumb.
It was
so dumb.
It really was very dumb.
Yeah.
The writing was not great.
The writing was terrible.
It was not great.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This book. It's book.
Yeah. You know, I just said that everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and I'm not hating on anybody for liking what they like, but it does a little bit disturb me that so many people thought that this was just dreamy.
Yes.
And I mean, you know, if you've got the kink for something like that, that's fine, but you do it the right way. With consent, with safe words, you do it right. You don't, oh my gosh.
Yeah, No.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. And their other little nicknames. Kitty Cat and the Little Mouse.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my god.
What is it lately with these books with him treating her like a little girl?
Oh my god, I don't know.
What is that about? What is it about with them feeling like they have the right to punish or to control the entire relationship? Like,
it's so creepy.
It is.
And gross.
I mean, it's like a grown-ass man with a little girl. It's kind of gross.
It's super gross.
And both books did it.
They did, yeah.
And I'm like, what is that? What is that about? Because I don't want any grown-ass man telling me what to do and then punishing me if I don't do what he wants.
Yes.
Like, pardon me, but fuck you.
Exactly. Anytime any man says something like, you will listen to me, or I'm like, then, or what? Bring it, bitch. I ain't listening.
Yeah.
Like, no, I hated it. And all of the times that he, like, whenever he said just like, oh, you'll like this, or oh, you'll love me, or like, you know, just those like little snippet things where it's just like, I know better than you. Mm-hmm. Like, I know what you like better than you know. Mm-hmm. I know what you want better than you know. Oh, that makes me so mad.
Yeah.
That makes me so mad.
When literally, he had not even talked to her yet.
Yes.
hadn't even talked to her.
Yes.
And I don't know about the rest of it, but in the first half, he never even made an attempt to get to know her.
Yeah.
Or to let her get to know him.
Oh, and his little thing. Yeah, about how, like, I saw you in the bookstore, and I could have approached you and asked you out, and we could have gotten to know each other, and you would have fallen in love with me.
The justification.
But, you know, I needed you to know the real me. I'm like, oh my god.
If people fall in love with the darkest parts of you, they'll never leave.
What kind?
And I'm like, dude, you're making
Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, bold of him to assume.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big-ass assumption that she's going to fall in love in the first place, but I think that was the whole, where the Stockholm Syndrome comes in, is that this woman, once he decided, she never had a chance to leave. Because, I mean, I don't know, was there the third act breakup sort of thing? There's always a third act breakup. Did they ever break up at any point? Yeah. Okay, so...
I don't think so.
So she never had... Once he decided that he was going to have her, she would never have the option to leave. She would never have the chance to get to know him and decide, hey, you're not for me, and leave. Because he decided she would love him, and she was going to love the darkest parts of him, and then she would never leave. But how was she supposed to fall in love with him in the first place?
Right.
And if she was falling in love with a stalker that would sexually assault her,
she has bigger problems.
Then she has a really big, like, yeah, she has a really big problem here, that you're signing yourself up for some really deep shit, boy, in the future. Yeah, I mean, I don't... It was so twisted and so not healthy in any fashion.
Which, quite frankly, I don't expect healthy and normal from a dark romance. I expect unhinged and...
No, but I think, yeah, but you can be unhinged and still healthy. I mean, you know, there's all sorts of kinks out there, and...
That's fair.
Because, like I said, first of all, there needs to be consent on all sides. Mm-hmm. And there needs to be the option to get out. Otherwise, it's just taking someone captive, and you're gonna terrorize them into submission.
Right. When I was reading the book, I was literally like trying to put myself into her shoes for some of it. And it's like, I would be so terrified all of the time.
Yes.
And just like... beside myself I wouldn't know what to do. And it's like, I would never want to leave my house, but then even my house wasn't safe, and so I would just be like, I have to move and just uproot my entire life to just try and run away from this guy.
Oh,
constantly.
But you know,
he'd find you.
He's so perfect, and he's got such
these skills of his,
and he's a billionaire too, by the way, because he made all this money. Because, you know, he's amazing.
Not the lizard.
He could find her.
Yeah.
But you know, when I was reading this, and I just kept thinking about, like, these kinds of, you know, kinks and fears and things like that. And you know what came to mind to me? And maybe it's just because I just watched the movie. But as the perfect dark romance is Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Yes.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He never made her do anything that she did not want to do. He never forced himself on her in any way at all. She was just right there with him through everything.
Right. Like, if you want...
That's a dark romance.
That's what you should base it off of.
That is a dark romance.
Yes. That was love.
Yeah. Yeah, for all the twistedness of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I just watched Suicide Squad, so that's probably why it's in my head.
Nice. And the metaphors that were in this book. There would be times where he was just like, they think that they're the sharks, but they don't know that I'm the Meg, or I'm Megalodon. That's what it was. I'm the Megalodon.
Too bad for them.
And I'm the Megalodon.
This guy.
Oh my god. He thought he was a freaking equalizer or some shit like that. Where his shit did not stink.
Guy was...
Oh my god.
Well, when he was first... I'm repeating myself again. But when he was first talking about Jay, you know, and how Jay was almost the best. and only because I trained him. Like, oh my god.
Oh my
And one of the times I broke in and said, I said I'd stop, but I have to do this. That's because when he was talking about how he took down all these men at once, and I said, well, there's a flex. But, you know, he's like, because they couldn't see in the shadows, and I live in the shadows, and that's why they died. And they should have had night vision glasses, like me. Oh my God.
Can you be any more
Douchey!
like, yes! He was such a douche.
Yes!
Douche canoe, king of Delulu land,
Oh,
Deluluville.
he was so bad.
Gosh, it was so terrible.
I mean, this guy is like Gaston.
oh yes,
Right?
yes.
I mean,
100%.
he is every like beach bodybuilding bully. Cause he thought so much of himself that I'm like, he just don't even, oh.
No one kills like Zayd does. No one, no one rapes like Zayd does.
We should not be laughing at that.
No, but we warned everyone, okay?
We did.
And you know what? It's probably true. I've never heard of anyone using a gun on someone before in that way.
Oh! I don't know if I said it. I think I did say it in my clip, but I have to tell you what I said because we both follow true crime quite a bit. So, you know, when there is a serial rapist or just anybody, you know why they use objects to assault people with, right?
So they don't leave DNA?
No, because they can't get it up.
Oh!
In almost every behavioral analysis, they will say if they use an object, it's because they can't get it up. And so to have your main male character, who is so ultra alpha that it's unbelievable, with the first interaction with the woman of his dreams, apparently, he has to use an object. And he says, yeah, he says otherwise in the book, but I don't know.
Well, later on in the book, he definitely could. So, I guess. But, you know, maybe he just got first-time jitters.
Maybe.
But then again, he's Zayd, so he never gets first-time jitters.
Never. Never. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of a funny little irony in there that, you know, usually, that's what that means.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm reading my notes of what I had. Main male character was king of Deluluville and so full of himself, I wanted to rip his dick off. Just ew. Everything he said equals ew.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes.
Female main character was an idiot, which she knew and let all of us readers know again and again and again.
I'm so stupid.
Sigh.
I'm so stupid. This is so stupid. Why am I doing this? I'm so stupid.
I shouldn't go upstairs where he is. This is stupid.
Yeah, it really is.
You're right, sis.
Yeah, it's really
so glad
stupid.
that you are aware that this is stupid. Maybe let's not do it then.
So don't do it.
Yeah, like let's maybe not antagonize our stalker.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So there was our thoughts on Haunting Adeline.
Yeah.
God, I'm so glad I didn't have to buy that book.
No
If I had
kidding.
a physical copy, I would burn it.
Yeah.
And I don't support the burning of books, but that one I would burn.
Yeah.
Because it made me want to burn my own eyes out, so.
It's bad. Yeah.
It was
bad.
so bad. I gave it -1 billion stars. And I said that I would rather read Holly again for the rest of the year, and only Holly, than have to read Haunting Adeline again.
Yeah.
So that's how you know it was bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, onward.
Onward and
Upward.
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 Butcher and Blackbird by
Butcher
Bryn
and
Weaver with the absolutely beautiful cover.
It is a very beautiful cover.
Yes, and it's about serial killers
And it is
who
about
kill serial killers and fall in love with their serial killing ways.
Yes.
I only have a few days left to get through Butcher and Blackbird, and I swear my library loan is never coming in. I'm still, I think, like number 17 waiting for 10 different books, so which I should have expected. So I decided to go ahead and use one of my Audible credits and get the audiobook, which is probably a good idea because since I've been in this reading slump, I've really gotten back into crocheting, and my niece is expecting her first baby in June, and so I've been making a baby blanket for her. See? Isn't that cute? So I can listen to the audiobook while I'm crocheting, but I did go ahead and start it when I was at work today because that's always a good time to listen to a book. And I am about halfway through already. It's excuse me. It's really good. I like it a lot. Yeah, I mean, it has problems, like the language or the writing style isn't I mean, it's good, but it's not the best. Like, there's a lot of cliched writing. There's a lot of eye rolls. There's a lot of huffing laughs. There's a lot of sighing and groaning and all of that kind of stuff. It's just really, really cliched in some places. And then in other places, it's really good. Very descriptive. There was one thing she used, which then turned into something kind of repetitive. But the first time I read it, I was like, oh, that's really clever. And then it got repetitive. But anyway, there's that. I mean, so it's a so-so kind of writing, but I'm really enjoying the story, and the characters are fun. Their banter back and forth, you know, because it's a book about two serial killers falling in love, basically. The banter at first was not that good, but I did just get through a scene, and it was funny. It did make me laugh out loud at work, of course, so people were kind of looking at me funny, but, you know, whatever. So I'm enjoying it. I really am. And I will say, I mean, I didn't read any of the physical book, of course, but I will say that the audiobook is, I think, where it's at. I don't think I would be enjoying it quite so much if I was just reading a physical copy. And I may just find out, because I can't say this is the best book I've ever read, but there's just something about it that I really am enjoying a lot. I don't know. I personally have never read a book like this or seen a book like this, so I don't know if it's the premise, the idea of these two serial killers. I don't know, but I just really kind of like it, and I think I might want to have this on my shelf. So I don't know. Anyway, the audiobook, though, it's not a full cast, but it has two different voice actors. One for Rowan, the male character, and one for Sloane, the female character. And Rowan has an Irish accent, which is described in the book. So I think it was obviously a good choice for a voice actor for that. But it's just, I think the way that those two actors interact and the script that they had to go on is just really well done. And I think maybe that's why I'm probably enjoying it a little bit more than maybe I would have if I read it physically. Just the acting, it's really good. So anyway, I don't know if I will get to any more tonight, but I will definitely read more tomorrow or listen more tomorrow at work. And the fact that I think I'm even just a little bit more than halfway through. And honestly, too, I will say, while there's been a lot of attraction, hello, George. Hey, Georgie, you want to say hi? Hi, kitty. Say hi, George. No meowing? Nothing? All right. There's been a lot of attraction. There's been a lot of tension, a lot of sexual tension, a lot of descriptions of it. That there hasn't actually been any spice yet, any spicy scenes for being over halfway through the book. So, I think it's kind of nice to show that there was a physical attraction or is a physical attraction, but yet you can see these two characters falling in love and that there hasn't been any spice up to that. And that's kind of nice to see that kind of a progression. But anyway, that's all I've got for now. I'm going to keep on, and I don't know, it's getting kind of late tonight yet, but I don't know, maybe I'll crochet for a while and listen to some more of the book, but I will probably end up finishing it tomorrow at work. My prediction at this point, depending on how this last bit falls out, my prediction's probably going to be about a 3.5, maybe 4 if it's a really kind of more explosive ending, because this has got to be built into something. So if it's really good ending that can kind of overcome those problems that I have with some of the writing, then it could be a 4. I don't know. We're going to find out though. So I will update you when I have more to say.
Deny all you want via text, no response. Are you still up? Still thinking of us? Can we make up? It's so hard to forget all the bad things that went on between us. Those times were better. We know we were better. I know that we have us, but all I want is you. Hanging on your front porch, arguing about who loved who more. Let's take it back to you and I. I'm your scarlet letter, only one who knew you better. So let's take it back to you and I. Back to you and I. Remember the night we snuck into the pool just to make out? Then we got kicked out. It was such a ride. And I gotta admit that the most fun I had was with you. I wanna do it again with you. Hanging on your front porch, arguing about who loved who more. Let's take it back to you and I. I'm your scarlet letter, only one who knew you better. So let's take it back to you and I. Back to you and I. Hanging on your front porch, arguing about who loved who more. Let's take it back to you and I. I'm your scarlet letter, only one who knew you better. So let's take it back to you and I. Back to you and I. Back to you and I.
So, I just realized that I completely forgot to film any updates for
Butcher and Blackbird. I kept telling myself that I needed to, and I kept forgetting. And then I finished the book all out of nowhere. Which might tell you that I didn't hate it. You know, at least I didn't hate it. It was definitely no Haunting Adeline, and I was grateful for that. I'm not going to go into too many details because I did end the book, but what I would have said in my other updates, we had a couple of good, like, really cute and funny moments. It was a fairly fast read, obviously. I finished it in, I guess, 2 days. So, ow, Gringy. Ow! Little turd. Yeah, little turd. But anyway, that's all I gotta say. I'm waiting on my food to get done. It's Valentine's Day, so I made a heart-shaped pizza and heart-shaped nuggets. Not nuggets, French fries. Because it's also Ash Wednesday today, and I can't have any meat. And I also have been fasting all day long. So I am hangry. So anyway, that's my quick little update for this, and I'll talk more about it when I'm with Kelly. So anyway, happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you when I'm with you.
I was really excited for this book because obviously serial killers, they're my thing. You know, that's my kink. But I was excited for this, and I was really proud of this book for keeping in so much serial killingness. So, yeah, so much of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in such a way that it wasn't like these characters felt ashamed of what they were doing or felt remorse for what they were doing. They did not.
No.
They were happily serial killers going about their little ways.
Right.
Of doing their thing.
I loved it.
And it was great. It was really great to see.
It was so good. I'm so glad that happened.
I left it off my clip. I did not make a second clip for when I finished it. So I was a little over halfway through when I did my last one, and I had predicted that it would be a 3.5 or 4, but it did not end up being. It didn't.
No, I left mine at a 3, my rating.
Yeah, I'm wavering between a 2.5 and a 3.
That's fair.
Because at that point where I quit was just getting into the truly spicy stuff. There had been a couple spicy moments prior to, but it was really getting into the smut at that next point. And honestly, for 3/4 of the last half, if that makes sense, it was nothing but
There was a lot of
continuous sex scenes.
Yeah, like
Continuous.
unrealistically,
And
like
nothing else. Nothing else.
well, they had what 4 years to make up for it, Kelly. So.
And this is Rowan and Sloane, by the way. Rowan is the guy.
Much better main characters.
Yeah, much better. But Rowan did turn into the controlling. And in the trigger warnings, there was something about Dom and Sub. Called her little girl. She's a bad little girl.
Okay.
And punished her.
Okay.
Not like the other book, but still.
I will admit I don't like that. When you have
I don't either.
grown ass men calling grown women little girl, like it just is like it's too close to like dad and daughter. Like
Yeah.
that's not okay with me.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
At least in this book, there was full consent.
Yes.
There was safe words.
Yes.
That
It
was
was
all
done right.
taken care of. That was done correctly. I just don't like. I don't like Dom and Sub. First of all, that's a personal preference. That's nothing to do with it being done well or badly or anything. It's just a personal preference. I don't really like that. But I think outside of the sex scenes, once they got together, that he also started treating her that way outside of the bedroom. And the writing did too.
I was gonna say, and she ended up being more
Submissive.
that way.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I didn't like because like she's supposed to be this is something that I thought was very, it didn't, the whole way through the book, is she's supposed to be this badass serial killer. But outside of serial killing, she is very like
timid, awkward,
flighty, and like all of these things. Like, it doesn't. How is this the same person who like can walk in and literally look at a serial killer, like another serial killer who's done some really bad things, and be like, "You're going down," you know, and just like knowing that she's gonna win, and then have all these things, and just be so confident that she's never gonna get caught, but then outside of that, just having zero confidence.
And I don't think the book showed enough of her being the badass.
No.
There were moments where she was, and there were moments when Rowan looked at her and was like a little scared of her. I wish there had been more of that.
Yes, I do too.
Because he was very much the badass.
Mm-hmm.
But her not so much. And I think that especially once they got together, that the writing really tried to make it more of a typical male, alpha male, female relationship, when it was so set up to just be two equal badasses falling in love.
Right. Like, the sex scenes could have been so much better if they would have done it that way, where it was more equal and not,
I think so too,
trying to be like Haunting Adeline.
Yes.
And if they would have just stuck true to the characters, because that was another thing. It's like, I feel like we ended with different characters than what we started with.
Yeah.
Like, it was a complete 180.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at that, because it's like, I wanted the Rowan and Sloane from the beginning, and not the ones who just like, BDSM's my favorite, and like, here's all these things, and you will listen to me or be punished. Just like, who are these people? Because they are not the characters that I was really enjoying
in the beginning. Yeah, once they got together, I didn't like the story near as well, and the pacing was so off.
Yes.
Because they had all of this serial killing stuff in the beginning and little hints of a relationship building. Mm-hmm. But then once they got together, it was all the relationship. That was it. There was nothing else involved in it at all.
Yeah. Which was so sad. Because like, serial killing, that part is such a big part of them.
Yes. The first half of the book was spread over 4 years.
Supposedly.
And then the second half of the book was just, I don't even know, a few months, because there was one time jump before she moved. There was one time jump there, but it was a very much shorter period of time, and so it's hard to tell how long it was they went without killing. But I mean,
there was just a lot of things with pacing and time and stuff, because there was like, even with their relationship, there was so much that was left out. Like, you didn't have a chance to actually watch their relationship grow. Like, she's saying that, oh yeah, like, we're texting like every day and talking every day, and now I think I really like him, and I'm gonna go and visit him in Boston, and all. It just like, it didn't, I'm like, I wanted all the in between. Yeah. Like, it's all of a sudden we went from 0 to 100, and it's like, I don't really like him, and now I love him. Without anything.
I don't think they needed to spread that out over 4 years.
No, it made no sense.
It was just because the way they set up this contest, where they would each try on their own to kill this serial killer, and it was a contest to see who got the kill. But they set it up to be an annual contest.
They should have made it be like a monthly
or every other month, or
something like that.
You know, whatever.
Like, shorten it down to where it was like within a year.
Yes, that easily could have been a year, and then you'd have much more time to show them texting back and forth and all of
that
these
was
things.
One thing Red, White, and Royal Blue did really well with, like, building that relationship between the two characters. Is like, they showed all those text messages and like everything, and just like the whole them falling for each other, and that's what I wish this book would have done. That's what really, I think, would have pushed it for me to the next star level, is if you would have got to actually see the building of their relationship. Because the serial killing stuff was great. I wish it would have continued through the whole book, but what I got was great and I loved it. And then I was just missing the romance. Their little love story that was supposed to be all swoony and cute and everything that I wanted and badass.
Because it did come down to, like, at the very end, or closer to the very end, I didn't see why they were in love. I mean, because I got the attraction at the beginning, and I got the back and forth. The banter wasn't all that great. The writing was not all that great. But I got it there, and as it was building to the point even like right before they got together, I was feeling that tension there. But then once they got together, like you said, it was like two different characters at that point. Because at the beginning, she was kind of sassy and pretty badass, and he was like kind of swooning over her a little bit and being sassy back. And so it was just this back and forth. It wasn't the best back and forth, but it was a back and forth.
Cringy, but it was there.
Then they get into the romance, and all of a sudden he's the dom, she's the sub, and that even carried out of the bedroom. And so by the time it got to the end, by the time it got to the end, which I liked the end, I really did, because she kind of turned back into the badass. But it got to the end, and when he opened that other restaurant, and she was also, that should have been the swoon-worthy moment. And it just wasn't.
I did like when he opened the second restaurant, though.
Oh, I did.
I thought, oh my god, that's so sweet. Like, look at him.
But that should have been the moment that you melted for him. And
right.
You just didn't. And maybe it was because her reaction was so sappy.
It didn't fit.
It didn't fit.
It didn't fit for Sloane. Like, there should have been, like, some little snarky comment or something, like a little sassy thing about, like, oh, well, you didn't, like, you should have done this way. Like, you know.
Why do you get top billing?
Exactly.
At all. But then the end came back around, and I really liked the end. The very, very end.
The very ending did.
I really did. I liked how that went around, because it was her saving him. And not the other way around, first of all. But the way she did it was kick-ass. And it brought back that badass serial killer that she was at the beginning.
Yes.
So I really did like, and I liked the way that she made him punish a little bit. I liked her at the end. I really did.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Her at the end and them at the very beginning. Like,
Yes.
their meet cute at the beginning
Yeah.
of the book was so good.
It really was.
Like, when you open a book like that, I had such high expectations. I'm like, okay, this one is actually gonna be a good book.
Yeah.
Like, I
did
read that,
too.
I'm like, this is 4 stars at least, you know? And then it just was like, cringe city, ew. One day you'll love me, gag me now.
Yeah.
And then...
You're the worst.
Oh my god.
You're
like,
you're just the worst.
Let me read your dragon porn or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, I listened to the audiobook, which I would recommend over reading the physical book any day. Because even with the audiobook, the writing I could tell was not great. Like, there was lots of it was very cliched. Lots of eye rolling, lots of huffed laughs, lots of groans, lots of sighs.
Lots of just repetitive nonsense.
Yeah. So, but the audiobook, you had 2 actors, not narrators, actors, voice actors. And he had the Irish accent that went, so you were never, you never, like you were talking about reading the book, you forgot that he was supposed to have it. He was supposed to be Irish. And you never did, because his accent was there through the whole thing.
I have a feeling if I would have listened to this audiobook, I would have given this book 4 stars just for his voice.
It's possible, because man, they picked a good one.
Sucker for an Irish accent.
They picked a good one. And you know, a lot of times listening to an audiobook, I cringe having to listen to sex scenes on an audiobook. I didn't mind this one. I really didn't. I think it was well done. The actors did not take it into Cheeseland, you know. And there was one where it was in Rowan's voice, and it was very intense. And the actor portrayed it as very intense. And there were times that it got a little angsty, but the way the actors did it, I thought was really well done. So these actors, these 2, I wish I knew their names. I don't have anything with me. So I give them a plug, but they did an excellent job seriously. Really good.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna need to listen to that.
yeah. I'll give you my Audible log and stuff. But it was really well done. So I'm really glad, because I'm not sure I could have made it through the physical book.
It was a struggle at times.
Yeah.
That is for sure. And there were a lot of moments where I really just kind of just wanted to skim through it. And I did skim through some of it, to be honest. Because there's just some things in them that I'm like, I don't care. I really don't. This is not what I want to read about. Or I've already read about you guys having the same conversation already. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Are you going to read the others?
I don't know yet.
Don't know yet.
Maybe. I don't know. It was like a middle of the road book, so
Could go either way.
could go either way. I'm not sure.
Well, Rowan has 2 brothers. And both of those brothers are already, in this book, connected with 2 girls. And I'm pretty sure the next book is the brother Lachlan and Sloane's friend Lark. And I don't think I can handle it, because Lark is very much a manic pixie girl. See, and that was the other thing, is the reason that these 2 became serial killers. There was a reason, but it was never explored through the book
it
at
was
all.
like briefly mentioned about some things. Like, it kind of mentioned events that had happened that led to it, but it never actually went into the full story.
Right.
Which I wish it would have done. Because, like, if you're going to give hints to the backstory and everything, and, like, the origin story, then just give the origin story. Like, don't let the readers have to try and guess.
Yeah.
Like, and it could have been really interesting, because then it would have... This was the other thing with the book. So much of it was underdeveloped. And that was one part of it that was underdeveloped.
Yes, very much.
And I think if the author would have taken some time to actually go and put in some work and develop the story and the like all of these things, it would have been a great book. But I think the author just got kind of lazy.
Yeah. Well, I think it was just I think part of it was to get sympathy for the characters. Like, they're not serial killers just because they like to kill people. There's a reason that they do what they do.
They needed to go into the reason
for
it.
And when she came out with Sloane's, though, it came out in such an obvious way that it was definitely, you could tell, oh, this is where the author's gonna let you know. It was just not, and it was so obvious, and it was just not well done, like, at all. I thought Rowan's reveal was better. It was a little more spread out and slow, but Sloane's was just very convenient. Very convenient. But then nothing ever went from there. And then I thought, well, okay, maybe it's like in world building in great big fantasy books. There's obviously 2 more books. This is a trilogy. And so we know that Sloane's has to do with Lark. Sloane's reason for serial killing has to do with Lark, who is the next book. And Rowan and his brothers all went through the same thing. Yeah. So maybe it's just going to be slowly come out over the trilogy.
Maybe.
Because this is not a standalone. So
I mean, I guess I could see
you can read it as a standalone. I'm just saying it
100%.
It wraps up. It is, but there is two more books. So that could be why their stories were underdeveloped, but it needed more. It needed more because this is the relationship. This is these two in this book is this relationship. And so you've got to develop them in their own book. Because in the next book, they're just going to be side characters. I really was going to sit at like a 3.5 star for this book. Maybe even a 4. But then when she just did nothing, I mean, it was literally for the next, like I said, audiobook, so I don't know pages. But 3/4 of that last half was nothing but sex scenes.
Yes.
Nothing but. And her
and
moving.
They were just,
and her moving.
Yeah. And the sex, I'm sorry, but the sex scenes I didn't think were that good.
I didn't either. Not really.
And
I thought his
just
tattoo was fun, though. That was a bit of a swoony moment.
I mean, yeah.
It was. She visits the restaurant. She sketches it out.
Okay, her visit, I'm sorry, but her visit to the restaurant.
Weird.
She made it weird.
She made it weird.
She made it, like, literally, before she went and decided to go and visit him at his restaurant, she had mentioned in the book that they had been texting every single day. They were communicating like they were besties, all of this. Yeah. And so she leaves to go visit him in Boston, and she's just like, so, like, this is stupid. I'm making the wrong choice. Like, why am I even here? And she was getting ready to bolt before the waitress even came back to her table to take her drink, because she's just like, I can't believe that I'm here and doing this. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Like, what was her problem? Did she really think that he didn't want her there? I mean, I can tell you right now, ain't no man gonna put in that much effort if he isn't interested. Okay? Ain't no man. Okay? Even the ones that are interested barely put in that much effort. Okay?
And even so, like, you're friends.
Exactly.
And
so,
granted,
like, why is it so weird?
It was a little weird because they had never had, like, physical contact outside of their annual game. So it is a little weird because now she's instigating an in-person relationship outside of their game. But it didn't have to be as weird as she made it.
Right.
It just didn't.
No.
And it was really weird.
It was, like, I had secondhand embarrassment.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then he made it so weird, too.
Yes.
Just, like, yelling across the restaurant at her. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
My face was red.
Yeah, it was. It was very much. He could have just caught up with her outside.
Yeah.
But anyway, she made a drawing and left it behind on the table. And he kept it. And then, because he didn't want to carry it with him, because he didn't want it to get destroyed or damaged, he had the image tattooed on his back. Okay, so he could always carry it with him.
That is kind of cute.
I think it is kind of cute.
And
because as a reader, you know that he's been into her for 4 years.
Yeah.
So of course he's going to do that. I thought it was a swoony moment.
He was definitely a more swoony main character, for sure. I thought he did a lot of things for her, and a lot of cute things.
He did. That just should have way carried over into their physical relationship.
Yeah, it really should have.
It really should have, because that's what ruined it for me.
Here's the cats.
They brought a toy in.
They brought a toy.
Hey. Come play with me. I brought it to you.
That's creepy. Come play with us, Daddy.
Come play. You will never trust TikTok again.
Nope.
Sorry, TikTok. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're done.
Because TikTok also lied to me about Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell.
Mm.
That was a terrible experience.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, no, TikTok. You're terrible at recommending me books.
We're done with you, man. We're done with you. I generally will have to stick with the booktubers that I follow, because it seems like on the really great big hyped books, I can trust them. I trust them.
Yeah. I think that was that's our problem. Like, we don't like the hyped books. Some and yellow, some. This was a big loss.
Yes. No, now we have to move on to
books with red on the cover.
Books with red on the cover. That's the next one.
Yes. Which means...
And they're 2 short books.
Praise Jesus, hallelujah. One of them is a love story, a YA love story.
It is YA. I picked it.
Part of a duology.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't catch that part, but I picked it, actually.
Kelly picked both
and I knew full well when I bought the book that it was YA. I bought it knowingly. But it sounded like a really cool premise, so I bought it anyway. So,
well, hopefully it's good.
That will be next week.
Yeah. So, come on back.
So come on back.
Next Sunday. And then also be sure to be reading, if you have not already finished reading, our book club book for this month, which is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I still haven't learned how to pronounce her last name, but I will know it by the time of the live show. Which we still don't know when that's going to be.
We're still not entirely sure because we would do it the first Sunday in March, except we have things going on the first Sunday in March. So, and we can't do it the Saturday either.
So maybe
this is a
we
problem.
will just flip-flop our wrap-up being the
Yeah.
first Sunday and then have the live show
Might
be the
have to
second
do
Sunday.
that.
I think that might be easiest.
Yeah.
So plan on the second Sunday of March
Yes.
for
That
our
should
live
probably
show
work. Yes.
of The Dead Romantics by Ashley.
By Ashley.
Ashley P. Yeah. I don't know too much about this. Was Kelly's pick for February. I think it's about this lady who falls in love with her ghostwriter. She's actually a ghost. They fall in love with each other.
She's the ghostwriter.
Oh.
And he is either an
The
editor or
that's what it was.
or the publisher. I'm not sure
Editor.
which. But they don't get along. They kind of butt heads. And then he shows up in a place he shouldn't be at. And she realizes he's dead.
Yeah.
And so it's his ghost showing up. So I think
it's gonna be good.
we needed a romance for February book club. And, well, you know how we feel about romances in general.
But
So,
ghosts.
yes.
Which was something I was missing and haunting Adeline.
Yeah, and I so thought it could have been because
It could have been so good.
he was breaking into her house and she couldn't figure out how he was breaking in, and I thought, oh, maybe he's not human.
Yes.
No,
maybe he's a ghost.
it was just that he was so damn good. Okay, I'm done with that. I'm done.
Yeah.
I need to, like,
We need
bleach
to
my
stop.
brain of those
Yes.
things.
For real. But anyway.
Okay.
Second
Yes.
Sunday in March, read this. Come see us next Sunday for our reading books with red covers. We will again be discussing 2 different books, so come on back for that. And if you like this video, trying to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Is there anything else? Okay.
No, there isn't at this time. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to go and give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, go down below the video and hit that little red subscribe button. Join the Everyday Adventure family so you can see our beautiful faces every Sunday with new bookish content.
Yes.
And if you're wanting even more from the Everyday Adventurers, then you can go and join the channel memberships where you'll get early access to the non-bookish content currently. We're working on getting our shit together, okay?
Yes, because we're slow.
We are.
We're actually filming this right now.
The night before it goes out.
Yeah, you're seeing this on a Sunday. It is 8:45 on Saturday night. Anyway.
And you can also get access to members only videos that you won't find anywhere else on the channel. And if you want even more things from the Everyday Adventurers, or from the Everyday Epic mainly, go check out our Instagram and our TikTok, where we have even more bookish content over there for you guys. It's first look at any of our book stuff, so go and check it out.
Yes. And if you want more in general, you can go check out the rest of Amy's channel, because there's more than just the books. There is home decor, there's home organizing, there's home renovations, lots of home stuff involved in there. There is shopping and shopping hauls. There's kitty cats everywhere. And if you still want even more after that, you can go check out her blog. Some of her articles on there are related to the videos on the channel. It's that's so undignified for Granger. Poor kitty. He's so disgusted right now.
I believe it.
Anyway, you can see those things. Some of them are related to videos on the channel, and some are unique to the blog. So you can just go check that out and just become involved in every part of the Everyday Adventurers family.
Hopefully, like I said, you guys enjoyed watching this video and listening to our rants. Let us know down in the comments your thoughts on this book. Like, if you agreed with us, I'm assuming if you watched this video, as we said earlier, that you agreed that these books were terrible. Feel free to leave us any recommendations down in the comments. Come talk to us down in the comments. We like hearing from you guys and all of that. And yeah, like I said, go find us on our other socials. Thanks for watching. I'm Amy.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are
the Everyday Epic.
We'll see y'all in the next one.
Bye.